is up, YouTube? This is your host, Ranee, here to spill that homicidal tea. Today we're brewing up some near-miss blend of tea. This case could have ended up a lot differently for a couple of people if they hadn't had this near-miss, if you know what I'm saying. Before we get into it, though, same spiel, different video. Just like and subscribe, all that jazz. And you guys have been here before, you know what to do, but some of you haven't, and by the analytics that I see on my channel, a lot of you that are watching aren't subscribed, so why is that? Go ahead and subscribe. Right there. Thank you. Well, in that case, now we got all that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get to the solved case of Tami Reay. In June of 1964, Tamara Donnell Burns was born in Wyoming. Now, she was extremely close with her two sisters, and one of them actually introduced her to Brad Reay, who would become her husband. Before relocating to Pierre in 2004, the former high school athlete resided in Billings, Montana with Brad and their daughter Haley. The 41-year-old was about to start a new job at a Kmart pharmacy when tragedy struck. On February 8th, 2006, when friends and family had not heard from Tami as they would on every single day, they became concerned. Attempts by the family to contact Tami were unsuccessful, and that's when Tami's friend Brian Clark went ahead and filed a missing persons report for her once he learned that she wasn't at work either. Well, the police quickly discovered that Tami had been having an affair with Brian, and in addition to being her co-worker, they were more than friends, if you know what I mean. Brian revealed that Tami's husband had learned about their relationship during his 911 call. He acknowledged spending the previous night with Tami, but he asserted that they had parted ways following their meeting. Brian had taken his wife and daughter to a local basketball game, and his alibi was verified. So, Brad, at that point, became the focus on the authorities' attention. Brad was the manager at a neighborhood Walmart at the time. Despite denying knowing the identity of the man that Tami was having an affair with, he did admit to knowing about it to the police. On February 7th at 10 p.m., Brad heard Tami park her car outside and leave with someone. Brad jumped in her car to pursue them, thinking that it was the other man, but the car started having problems and he had to turn around. Investigators started digging through the house that Tami and Brad shared, and they discovered blood trickling from Tami's car in the garage. On the inside, there was a strong chemical odor that suggested that someone had tried to make a hasty attempt to remove any evidence and clean up. Brad denied having any knowledge of the blood when he was questioned about it. And the cops also discovered from the family that Tami had intended to break up with Brad, and she wanted a divorce. Brad resisted answering any more questions from the police, saying that he was innocent, telling them at one point, "I hope you do find her body, because when you do locate it, it'll be something that'll set me free." Well, he got his wish. In a wooded grove about 10 to 15 miles from the family home, Tami's naked body was discovered on February 10th, 2006. She had endured roughly 37 stab wounds, 5 of which were in her back. Not only that, her throat had been cut from ear to ear. But Brad, he didn't strike anyone as a violent man. He had nothing in his past that was violent. He didn't have a criminal record, nothing. So, I mean, who was there to look at? I mean, Brad was the clear suspect. There's friggin' blood in the garage. So police went ahead and brought him in, but they had limited time to get enough evidence to get the district attorney's office to go ahead and give the green light to charge him officially. So then their time started ticking at that point if they wanted to make a case for Brad. Well, over the next couple of days, police started receiving letters in the mail. Now, Brad was in jail, so who were these letters from? Well, they were anonymously sent, and they contained information that linked Tami's friend Brian to the slaying. And a new detail. That a condom would be found still inside the body. An autopsy had already been done on Tami. There was no mention of this. So investigators went back to the medical examiner's office and said, what the hell? Well, a second autopsy was performed and a condom was found, which was really strange because you'd think they would have found it the first time. But what really sucks is that the biological evidence that was contained inside the condom was too deteriorated to be helpful. With the validation of the evidence in the letters, I mean, police had enough reasons to really start looking harder at Brian, right? Well, wrong. Because there's only one thing. Evidence that falls in your lap like this, little gift that just shows up, is usually circumspect. When investigators dove deeper into where these letters may have come from, they found where they came from. Kids, never trust people in jail because they're not your friends and they're definitely not your lawyer. So whenever you talk about the fact that you might, I don't know, get your twin brother to help you write these letters like Brad. Oh yeah, they discovered that Brad's twin brother Brett had been the one that wrote these letters because, and again, don't trust these jailhouse people because they had gone to investigators and said, hey, Brad's over here. He's talking about telling his brother about certain letters that need to be mailed. Said that his brother should come down to the prison with a pencil and paper. Brad held out a piece of paper during the visit, because they record everything, and said, here, write this down. And Brett wrote down all the details. The police discovered a covert audio tape also at Brad's house that he shared with Tami that illustrated that Brad had been completely aware of the affair up to 4 days prior. He knew everything. So his story's fallen apart. Well, you'd think that, once he was caught, once he was cornered with it, he would give it up. But no. The prosecution, What? The prosecution claimed that Brad stabbed Tami 5 times in the back while she was sleeping, and then he sliced her throat. He carried her body to the car while placing it along with blankets on a tarp. Brad then proceeded to stab her more times after that in a rage. At one of the places specified in the anonymous letters, the authorities eventually discovered the bloody blankets and garments in the trash cans. Oh, I wonder how that got there. Brad, he actually admitted to the condom thing. He said he found a used condom and that it was left by Brian during one of their meetings. And, once Brad was cornered, he said, I admit I put it inside of Tami's body to frame Brian. But, there's a reason why I had to do that.
The fuck is he talking about?
And this is where it gets even crazier. Once they got to trial, instead of sticking with the letters and framing Brian's story and all that kind of stuff, Brad changes his story and his new version of events. I mean, I can't with this guy. Okay. At Brad's trial in January 2007, the defense argued that Brad was ready to tell the truth, that his daughter, Haley, who was 13 at the time, was the one who killed her mother while she slept.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
Brad stated that he saw her in Tami's room with a bloody knife and claimed that she had been traumatized by talks of divorce and leading to all sorts of stress and contorted rage that pushed the teen into a murderous rampage frenzy and killed her mother. Are you serious? This poor little girl had to get on the stand and defend herself against her insane, demented father. Anyway, and she actually testified not only in her defense, but for the prosecution, saying, you know what, I don't think it was me you saw in there. It was you I saw doing laundry in the middle of the night, boo. So that's pretty unusual, don't you think? Well, whose story's lined up? His or hers? Chemical smell from cleaning up. I would say, yeah, believe the kid. Thank God the jury did have some sense, and they did. Brad was ultimately convicted of guilty. What? Brad was ultimately convicted guilty of first-degree murder by the jury, and he was given life without parole, and he was sentenced to this when he was 47 years old. According to records, he's still detained at the South Dakota State Penitentiary in Minnehaha County's Sioux Falls. If any case needed the death penalty, it would be this one. I mean, good Lord, dude. Framing your daughter, I can understand being pissed about the affair, but, you killed the woman who was involved in the affair. Doesn't that technically level the playing field? You're done, boo. Why are you aiming for your daughter after you already got the target? You know what I mean? Is that trying to be something like Thug Life? Like, are you trying to practice street code? Whatever. I'm not from the street, so I don't know.
I run these streets.
Well, that is it for this case. Have you guys ever heard of this one before? It is simply amazing to me how many cases there are out there that nobody's ever even heard of. But that's what I'm here for. I'm totally fine with being the voice of the victims for the cases that may have been forgotten over time, whatnot. But not now, Miss Thing. Tami, we remember you and we honor your memory forever. And shout out to Haley, too. So sorry you had to go through that. And I hope that you got the help that you needed after that, because that's not fair. Your dad shouldn't have done that to you. You had nothing to do with this. And I hope you know that none of this was your fault. And on that note, we will see you guys in the next video really soon. See you later.